Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff here, and I'm going to do another one of my collection of, so I've done two so far, I believe. Yeah, I believe. This is just going to be a quick look, and I'm going to try to make this quick because I'm going to try to do CDs and albums, but there's a lot. I'm going to go fast. I'm just going to show them, show and tell. I'm not going to talk a lot about them. You should know this band if you're into it. But this is just to briefly run through what I actually have by this band in my collection, and I'm going to just fly right through it. So we're talking about Whitesnake today. The reason I picked this is because the other day I got that Whitesnake Donington triple album added to my collection, which was really cool. So I figured, well, let's just show where we are at this point with what we've got with our Whitesnake collection. All right, so when it comes to my vinyl collection, I don't have a lot of the earlier Whitesnake stuff on vinyl. I do have them all on CD, but I still am lacking the early band, the pre-American, the pre-Liquid, the slided in era is where I'm kind of missing. So, but let's jump into it. I do have these. I have the reissues of the David Coverdale stuff, the earlier stuff, North Winds, and then the one just called Whitesnake, which I think that one was probably the first one. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah, these came out recently. So I do have those, and I do have those on CD. But here's how they go on CD. So I have these CDs which are not to be sold in America, but on eBay, everybody was selling these back in the day. I forget what country they are. They're from overseas, but it's these double CDs, and I got a bunch by a bunch of different bands. I was picking these up back in the day just to complete my collection. So on here, you've got the North Winds with, you know, the one. There are always two of them. 2 albums, come and get it, and they're just, you know, the releases there. So I have North Winds, and I'll show the other one. It actually is matched up something later down the road. Now, my recent trip to the Outer Banks, I was able to pick up Snakebite. So yeah, this is one of the earlier ones that I do have. So Snakebite is actually matched up with the Coverdale Page album, which is one that I would like to get on vinyl, which I understand has only been an unofficial release, but anyway. Yeah, so they matched that up with that, so that's kind of interesting to have. All right, moving on. I did pick up Live in the Heart of the City. I was going to say something totally different. Live in the Heart of the City. I picked this up in my Outer Banks too. So these are the only 2 that I have that are from the early days, and then that is matched up with Live at Hammersmith on the CD version. Live at Hammersmith. So we get that. Now, when it comes to all the rest of the albums that are out on CD, let me see where the combinations are here. So they actually put the regular Whitesnake album. They matched that up with Slide It In on this combination, and then we got, in the right order here, whatever, Starkers in Tokyo, Ready and Willing were matched up, and then whatever. I just jumped. I'm not gonna, you know, the names. They're right there. To my knowledge, none of these. This one, I guess they had enough bonus tracks they put on here, so they just released this one on its own. And then they match these 2 up. So they're not always matched up like in consecutive years. It's probably how they could fit them on here without having to drop any tracks. I don't believe there's any tracks dropped when it came to these collections. So now from that point on is where I pick up with where I got on board. I didn't really discover Whitesnake until Slide It In, MTV. I saw the videos. So it's still probably one of my favorite albums to this day because that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I started it at. So I've got a typical OG copy of Slide It In. This is just a regular one that everybody would probably have. And then I have, what do I got here? So I have the deluxe edition of Slide It In, which has, it's got all the stuff, deluxe edition. They were doing all these deluxe editions. Got the deluxe edition of that. Then they came out with like the 35th anniversary total remix of Slide It In, and it sounds phenomenal. They remixed it 35th anniversary, but they also have a deluxe remastered edition of the original. So and the difference between these 2 is you do have there's a UK version mix and there's a US version mix, so you get both of those. You get a remix version, so there's really like 3 different editions. And then you have the OG, which is just, you know, the regular, probably the OG is would be the US mix unremastered. So you say I got quite a few copies of Slide It In, but there you go. I have the vinyl edition of 1987, and of course it's got some bonus stuff on here too. I won't go into that, but I do not have the CD deluxe edition of this. I have it on that double split thing, But I did pick up the Slip of the Tongue Deluxe Edition. And of course, some of these have even been released further with further deluxe editions, like 4 or 5 CDs. So these are the ones that came out probably 10, 15 years ago. Well, 2009 is that, but I'm not sure. A lot of these deluxe edition ones came out more than 10 years ago, and they've since been reissued in massive multi-disc sets. And I have Slip of the Tongue on the recent vinyl remaster also on that. And then we get into, well, this, I don't know where exactly this fits. This is that greatest hits. This is the one they recently reissued where they remixed it and they remastered and revisited it. So some of the pieces have been re-recorded and added to it a little bit. So I love the way that they've been doing that. Interesting enough. All right, they reissued Restless Heart. This was kind of one that slipped under the radar for me. It was after that time frame in the 80s and early 90s. They just kind of, it was kind of like, I don't even know where this was almost more of a David Coverdale album, solo album. But anyway, it came reissued as a newly mixed edition. So again, they remixed this one like they've done the other ones. And so this came out not too long ago, which is great. So I saw this tour, Live in the Shadow of the Blues. This is about the time I saw them when I had moved back to Virginia. So this is a DVD audio set, I believe, or is it strictly CD? This is strictly CD. But there you go. Live album. So this is about the time when you start seeing a lot of Whitesnake live stuff starting to come out. They start putting out a lot of material, but not quite yet. Nevermore, kind of a return, new band, new feel, had, a bunch of new members, and it came out, and I thought it was a really, really great album, and I'm sure that this is going to be one that I hope to get, remastered, reissued at some point on vinyl. I think there might be a vinyl edition out there. Is this the one that maybe was earlier on? But I don't know. Anyway, but this is where they kind of come back full force with some new great material, and I don't have that on vinyl. Then they came back with yet another one, Good to Be Bad, another great one with the newer lineup, and they were just pumping out great music at this time through there. And that is the one that recently came out, Still Good to Be Bad, where they did kind of remaster it. I don't think it was remixed or anything. Yep, the 2023 remix. So I guess it was remixed, but not re-recorded like some of the other ones. So it doesn't seem to be. Sounds great though. So this is the one that recently came in. And then about that time is where they started putting out all of these concert stuff. And so you got the Donington release, and this CDs and DVDs, it's the concert and everything of that. And of course, that is where we stepped in with the recent vinyl pickup, was the Donington 3 edition album there. Then they started doing, and I only got one of them actually made in Japan. This is another DVD CD combo that they put out. They put out one a live 1984 album that I did not pick up. They've got another one that's like live in Britain. It's got a Britain flag on it, and that one is actually on a 4 vinyl edition, but it's under the radar. And it slipped. It came out too early for me, and now it's really expensive. So that's another one that did have a vinyl reissue or vinyl release that is out there. I see one on Discogs for overseas for like $130, $40 plus shipping. Then the band came back with the Purple album, where they went back and re-recorded, or just basically a whole album of Deep Purple hits from the era when David Coverdale was in the band. And this is, I think, it is a great album. It is a double record set. The second disc is a DVD. It's got music videos for Lady Double Dealer, Sail Away, Stormbringer, Soldier Force, some other than that. So it's a double disc set. This is the one that was really hard to find on a vinyl, but I did eventually score one of those recently because, again, it came out before I started buying vinyl again, and then when I did start buying it, it got really expensive, but I found somebody to sell me a copy for fairly cheap. Somewhere in this time frame, they released the Unzipped album, acoustic album. Everybody's doing it. So also includes a new remix of Starkers in Tokyo, which I showed was on that dual CD, which is a live acoustic show that they did a while back. So you've got basically both albums on this set, which was really nice to have put out like that. And then that's where the CD stopped, because I basically at that point, after the Purple album, stopped buying CDs for the most part and switched over just to the vinyl stuff. So I got the Purple live tour, where they basically did a bunch of those songs from the Purple album live. And then of course we got the newest album, Flesh and Blood, still rocking on, sounds great. Got that one, and then they started doing this remix stuff, and we've got the remix, revisited, remastered edition of, and these are like 3 best of albums that are kind of, you know, you got a rock one and you got a ballads one, and so, you know, they're kind of basically, you know, blues related. So the bluesier side of things, the rock side of things, and then the ballads. So love songs. So 3 albums, they're all, you know, colored to match, and so, and they have been remixed and touched up. They've added additional instrumentation, or, you know, redid this point or whatever. So that is the actually probably the most, I can't believe, I don't know, did these come out before that newest album? Anyway, all around the same time. These have all been, you know, fairly recently released. So that's it. That is all the CDs, and that's all of the albums. Hopefully that's not too terribly long. Thanks for watching. I'm dropping out of here now. See you later. Rock on and rock hard.